Hello and welcome to our brand new show, Firstpost Spotlight, where we bring you stories that matter to you from all across the world. From breaking news to the day's biggest controversies, we shed light on issues that shape our world. I'm Alison LaGrange, live from Durban, South Africa. Let's begin with the top headlines. Thousands of displaced Palestinians return to North Gaza as Israel opens roadblocks after Hamas agreed to hand over female Israeli hostage and 2 other hostages. Russian President Vladimir Putin congratulates ally Alexander Lukashenko for winning a 7th term in office, saying the poll results show he had an undoubted backing of the people of Belarus. The border between Rwanda and the DRC near the besieged city of Goma shut down hours after militia fighters and Rwandan troops enter the eastern Congolese regional capital. Investigators claim to have found feather and blood stains as evidence of a bird strike on a passenger plane that crashed in South Korea in December, killing 179 people. And the chairman and president of Japan's Fuji Television resigns weeks after a celebrity presenter was accused of sexual assault, causing a public relations storm and the mass exit of advertisers. Hello and welcome. We begin with the latest on the deportation drama that unfolded between the United States and Colombia. Though Colombia has now caved after Donald Trump's threats, the face-off saw both Washington and Bogota exchange sharp barbs and brought the US and Colombia to the brink of a full-blown trade war. Now, the White House has said that the Bogota has agreed to accept deported migrants without any restrictions, so it would not go ahead with the tariffs on Colombia. But here's what happened before the US and Colombia reached a deal. Earlier on Sunday, 2 US military planes carrying deportees left for Colombia, but President Gustavo Petro did not allow them to land. He said the US cannot treat Colombian migrants like criminals. Petro said he would only take back citizens with dignity, such as on a civilian plane. This infuriated US President Donald Trump, who then pulled off what seems to be his favorite foreign policy tactic for now, tariffs. He said Petro's move had jeopardized US national security and thus announced urgent and decisive retaliatory measures. These included a 25% tariff on all goods coming into the US from Colombia. Trump said that the tariff would be raised to 50% in a week. He also announced a travel ban and immediate visa revocations on Colombian government officials, allies, and supporters. The US also announced visa sanctions on all of Petro's party members, family members, and supporters of Colombian government. That's not all. He also imposed enhanced customs and border inspections of all Colombian nationals and cargo. Hours later, the Colombian President Petro threatened 25% retaliatory tariff increase on the US. In a series of posts, Petro also attacked Trump, daring him to pull off a coup in Colombia. The Colombian president faced resistance at home for his pushback against Trump and warning that US sanctions would take an enormous toll on the country. But by Sunday evening, Colombian President Gustavo Petro caved in. The White House announced unrestricted acceptance of migrants from Colombia, including those on US military aircraft. And just moments later, Colombia confirmed that the deportation flights had resumed.
Colombia's government, under the direction of President Gustavo Petro, is ready to facilitate the return of Colombians who are going to arrive in the country this morning on deportation flights. Colombia ratifies it will keep diplomatic channels of discussion to guarantee their rights, our national interests, and the dignity of our citizens. Colombia's government has gotten over its impasse with the government of the United States. In this context, I and the Ambassador Daniel Garcia Pena will travel in the coming days to Washington, D.C. to have high-level meetings that follow up on the agreements resulting from the joint work that led to the exchange of diplomatic notes between the two governments.
Donald Trump has come to power on the promise of fast-track mass deportation of illegal migrants. During his campaign, he said that immigrants were poisoning the blood of the United States. The end of the deportation drama with Colombia brought the first victory for Donald Trump's coercive foreign policy that seems to be based on tariffs and hard power. Though Colombia has backed down for now, the spat signals the beginning of a rocky relationship between the U.S. and its traditional ally. Trump's hardline approach is also a reminder of how his foreign policy decisions could cause massive global disruption, whether it's warning Canada and Mexico over border issues, threatening to take back the Panama Canal, intensifying geopolitical competition with China, or forcing Denmark to sell Greenland to the United States. 4 years of Trump administration will certainly reshape America's relationships. Now moving on, the United States will now be resuming sending deadly bombs to its biggest ally, Israel. President Donald Trump has lifted his predecessor Joe Biden's hold on the supply of 2,000-pound MK-84 or bunker buster bombs to Israel. Reports say that a total of 1,800 MK-84 bombs will be delivered from the U.S. to Israel in the coming days. According to the latest data, the U.S. has sent more than $22 billion to support Israel's military operations since the 7th of October 2023. A critical part of this support is in the form of the 2,000-pound MK-84 bombs. The MK-84 bombs were designed shortly after World War II. They are the largest in the Pentagon's Mark 80 series of bombs. The MK-84 bombs are also known as bunker buster bombs due to their capability to penetrate through underground bunkers. They are seen as too lethal for urban combat. Now, these bombs can result in craters that could be up to 11 meters deep. Between October of 2023 and May of 2024, as the war in Gaza raged on, the U.S. reportedly sent at least 14,000 of these bombs to Israel. Israel is accused of using these bombs in densely populated civilian areas of Gaza. In May of 2024, the then Biden administration paused a shipment of MK-84 bombs to Israel to discourage a potential Israeli attack on densely populated Rafah area of Gaza. Now, experts flagged Trump administration's release of bunker bomb shipments as damaging for Israel's fragile ceasefires in Gaza as well as Lebanon. But President Trump justified these shipments by claiming that Israel has been waiting for these bombs for a long time.
We released them today, and they'll have them. And they paid for them, and they've been waiting for them for a long time. They've been in storage for a long time, but we released them today to Israel.
Why did you do that, sir?
Because they bought them.
Israel repeatedly used the bunker buster bombs across Gaza during its 15-month-long offensive. In these attacks, at least 2 refugee camps were targeted, with a number of displaced Gazans reportedly vaporizing due to the sheer intensity of such blasts. Aid groups had condemned Israel's use of these bombs in Gaza as a war crime. Now, the United States refills Israeli weapon reserves with these bombs at a time when displaced Gazans return to their homes during the ongoing truce. Meanwhile, tensions are also flaring between the Israeli forces and Lebanon, despite a ceasefire. Beirut said that in an attack by Israeli troops yesterday, at least 22 people were killed and 124 were wounded in southern Lebanon. The alleged Israeli attack in Lebanon took place despite the Israeli commitment to leave the country as part of a ceasefire agreement signed last November. In Lebanon, Israel has used these bunker buster bombs to hit some critical targets. According to reports, Israel used this exact bomb to kill Hezbollah leader Syed Hassan Nasrallah in September of last year, which was a critical bodily blow to the Iran-backed group. Just 2 months after Nasrallah's killing, the Hezbollah agreed to a ceasefire with Israel. The U.S. shipment of these bombs to Israel comes as a fragile ceasefire takes hold in Gaza, while the future of a second ceasefire between Israel and Hezbollah seems to be going for a toss in Lebanon. Israeli leaders say they need the bunker buster bombs to confront the common enemies of the U.S. and Israel, as people of Gaza, as well as Lebanon, reel to return to their homes in the erstwhile war zones. The question remains, even with a ceasefire, does this wider conflict around Israel have an end? And we move on to the latest on the mysterious death of the OpenAI whistleblower Suchair Balaji. Even as authorities continue to claim that the former OpenAI researcher turned whistleblower died by suicide in November last year, the photos from the supposed crime scene have raised new questions on the nature of his death. Several photos of the San Francisco apartment where the 26-year-old was discovered dead fit into the puzzle of what appears to be the crime scene. The images show blood spattered in the bathroom where Balaji's body was found. The blood spots extended far from the body outside of the bathroom. The images also show mysterious tufts of what appears to be synthetic hair. One of Balaji's wireless earbuds can be seen lying in a pool of blood near the bathroom, while the other blood-stained earbud can be seen a few meters away at the entrance of his bedroom. Balaji's father says that the disturbed surroundings of his son's apartment point to the possibility of a fight with the alleged killer. Suchair Balaji's parents say their son was attacked from behind while he was listening to music in the bathroom. They further add that after Suchair Balaji fought back the alleged attacker, he was shot in the head. Now, according to the late whistleblower's parents, Balaji died from blood loss due to the bullet shot. Balaji's parents add that their son's apartment was also ransacked as the alleged killer was searching for something. Now, what was that something that Suchair Balaji alleged killer was looking for? In an interview earlier this month, Balaji's mother said that her son had documents to expose OpenAI's murky practices for the development of artificial intelligence chatbots. The late 26-year-old's mother also accused OpenAI of hushing up investigation by suppressing witnesses. She said because of OpenAI's involvement, nobody is ready to come out and tell the truth. Suchair Balaji's mysterious death has evoked strong reactions in the United States. Tech billionaire Elon Musk, who co-founded OpenAI and left it in 2018, described the case as extremely concerning. Silicon Valley Congressman Ro Khanna has called for a full and transparent investigation into the case. Almost until his death in November last year, Balaji had raised serious concerns on alleged lack of ethics in the development of AI chatbots. As a former OpenAI insider who helped to build ChatGPT, Balaji called for regulation of generative AI technologies. Balaji believed that without regulation, generative AI was damaging the internet. The latest photos from Suchair Balaji's apartment cast serious doubt on claims by authorities that the 26-year-old died by suicide. The families claim that Balaji possessed documents to expose Sam Altman-led OpenAI's questionable practices has further deepened the mystery around his death. With the big question still unanswered, was Balaji silenced? And moving on to some news on India-Indonesia bonhomie, Indonesian President Subianto said that he has Indian DNA. His remarks left Indian President Murmu and Prime Minister Modi in splits. The Indonesian leader also expressed his love for India's Bollywood music during his visit to New Delhi, where he was the chief guest at India's Republic Day celebrations on Sunday. This comes on the backdrop of the historic BrahMos cruise missile deal between the two countries. According to reports, the $450 million deal is in its final stages. Our next report gets you more on the story.
A few weeks ago, I had my genetic sequencing test and my DNA test, and they tell me that I have Indian DNA.
This is Indonesian President Prabowo Subianto. His marks during the presidential dinner in New Delhi left Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi in splits. Other dignitaries couldn't control their laughter either.
A few weeks ago, I had my genetic sequencing test and my DNA test, and they tell me that I have Indian DNA. So, and everybody knows when I hear Indian music, I start dancing. So, it must be part of my makeup.
Deepening bilateral and cultural ties between India and Indonesia were at full display during President Subianto's visit to New Delhi. The Indonesian delegation even performed a Bollywood song at Indian President Draupadi Murmu's banquet while Subianto hailed the India-Indonesia connection.
India and Indonesia have long, ancient history together. We have civilizational links. Even now, a very important part of our language comes from Sanskrit. Our names, many names of Indonesia are actually Sanskrit names. And in our daily life, the influence of ancient Indian civilization is very strong. I think it's also part of our genetics.
President Subianto also lauded India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi, saying he has learnt a lot from him.
I come here few days, but I learned a lot. I learned a lot from Prime Minister Modi's leadership programs and your commitment to alleviate poverty, your commitment to help the marginalized, to help the weakest part of your society is an inspiration for us.
President Subianto was on his first state visit to India. He was also the chief guest at India's 76th Republic Day celebrations, where a contingent of Indonesian armed forces and military band also participated in the ceremonial parade. Subianto's visit was aimed at strengthening India-Indonesia ties. During his visit, New Delhi and Jakarta signed and renewed 5 memorandums of understanding catering to a wide range of fields, including health and traditional medicine and maritime security. The two nations also agreed to strengthen their defense ties and maritime cooperation in the Indo-Pacific amidst the growing Chinese aggression in the region. At the center of the India-Indonesia defense ties is a $450 million BrahMos missile deal. New Delhi is close to signing this mega defense deal with Jakarta, which showcases its strength to indigenously develop defense equipment and missiles. Reports say the deal is in its final stages. The deal, once signed, will make Indonesia the second ASEAN nation to buy BrahMos missiles. The Philippines has already placed a $335 million order to India for the BrahMos cruise missiles. This marks a significant step in India's defense diplomacy, especially amid China's rising aggression in the Indo-Pacific. Countries in Southeast Asia are pushing to modernize and bolster their militaries as the Indo-Pacific and the South China Sea remain a flashpoint with an assertive China and Donald Trump back in the White House.
And that's all we have on the show for today. Tomorrow at the same time. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned to Firstpost.
From breaking news to the day's biggest controversies, shedding light on the world's top headlines, detailed analysis on the stories that matter the most to you. Catch it all on Spotlight at 6 p.m. India time and 12:30 GMT, only on Firstpost.
Hello, everyone. You're